Steady as she goes, holding on to hope. Into the unknown I drift away, ripping at the seams, vivid like a dream. I saw you long before.
So I guess one of those milestone moments for me, I was actually in a church camp, and somebody had showed me The Scientist by Coldplay. It was a song that they had out at the time. It was just piano, vocals, and I remember they were doing like a worship service later, and everybody was jumping around to music, and I had just heard like my favorite song of all time. I didn't even know it was my favorite song of all time, but I had just heard it, and I was experiencing what music like does to people. I was watching other people like, you know, jump up and down, and granted, you know, it was Christian music and it was, you know, a church camp, but that whole experience, I came back from that experience, I was on fire for music. I remember I like listened to every single Coldplay song after that. I downloaded their album, I started learning their songs, I started, you know, trying to write my own songs after that, so that was a big defining moment for me. Yeah, I was like an acoustic, like I loved musicians, like I loved, I went through a huge Frey period, you know, I loved the Frey because I loved the piano vocal. John Mayer was my first artist obsession, you know, he's a great example of the kind of artist I would like to be, is like somebody who like, he broke out, he kind of defined his own thing, and then he evolved it to his own space. Like Continuum was probably one of those records for me. I was 16 and I didn't really know I could be an artist, but I knew that I like had artistry in me, and when I listened to that record in full, I was like, wow, people still make albums. Like, I'm a 16-year-old kid and he's using words I've never heard of and like complicated guitar parts, but for some reason the vibe speaks to me, and it really inspired me now. And like, I guess, you know, I want to be that type of creator that, you know, somebody can put my record on, they may not obsess over me, I may not be the biggest icon in their eyes, but I've inspired them in some way to push some sort of creative out. And you know, I actually went to college for acting and musical theater, so for me to be a musician now, and for me to drop out of a full ride for acting and musical theater and do music, I'm like, I don't know which moment incepted me to do that. So I think it's important to just kind of like, you know, be open to where your life leads. You may think you know where you want to go, but I definitely didn't think I'd be sitting here at Once to Watch, you know, at Live Nation doing something like this after my second EP, so anything's possible. It was very evident, you know, Made of Dreams was my first record I put out. It was an EP, 6 songs, and oftentimes you feel like you have your whole life to make that first statement. So it was, a lot of it felt like, you know, I had written some of the songs and I was just starting to dabble in production, but it wasn't fully where I was as an artist. It was kind of like playing catch up. I spent 4 years on a record label. I didn't release anything but a single, and so this was the first body of work, and Made of Dreams kind of like, you know, it was like a little bit bipolar, it was a little alt indie, and then it had a little dark electro R&B influence. And so with State I'm In, I really wanted to rein in the sound. I wanted to give my fans something that they could latch onto now. Like, it was the most current songs that I was writing. You know, the title track, State I'm In, was actually half lyrics from when I was 16, and then half lyrics now, and then production from me now. So I really wanted to make a relevant record, like, to me, and I felt like Made of Dreams was a great opener, but State I'm In definitely picked it up and made it a little more cohesive. You know, man, 16 was probably one of my most creative years. You know, I really developed my passion for playing piano and writing my own songs, so I had so many lyrics written. I would play my parents a song every single day, and my dad would always be like, keep writing, and my mom was like my biggest fan. So when I went home over the holidays this past winter, in the middle of making this EP, I had State I'm In started. I had, you know, I knew I wanted it to be the title track, but I had half of a song. And so I come home and my mom pulls out this big folder of old lyrics, and she's like, you have to go through this stuff. Like, I got gold in here, like, just. So I'm going back and I'm flipping through, and it's like, it's chronologically, you know, me getting hair on my face for the first time, having my first girlfriends, and then I stumble across this lyric, State We're In, and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm writing a song right now called The State I'm In, and I'm looking at this lyric and I'm looking at the date, and it's in 2006. It's like my handwriting, and like, you know, 16-year-old me. And I remember I picked up a guitar and I kind of combined the idea that I was working on now with the lyrics from 16, and it just like fit perfectly. And Molly, my girlfriend, actually helped me kind of tie in the thoughts from 16-year-old me to now, and it's really interesting. I don't know if you heard that song, but on the second verse of State I'm In, That's the lyric that I wrote when I was 16. It's like the spoken word, like call out peace brings prosperity. It was like so beyond what I even knew I was writing about then. It spoke more to me now, which is crazy that you can write something almost 10 years before and then it only speaks to you, you know, now. And so that whole process was so cool, and it made me remember that inspiration comes at any time, and you never know when you're gonna have a use for something too.
Quietly grows
the state I'm in now, you know, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. It's emotional. A lot. Every day is like, you know, a small success. And doing things independently, you know, that's a big step. I mean, for me, even coming out of Warner, when I was on Warner for 5 years, that's how I moved to LA. Putting out Made of Dreams, which was like my first record. I wanted to like build a fan base. And then evolving into state I'm in, you know, I really wanted to trust myself, and like I wanted for fans to hear what's coming out of my head, not just the songs, not just the visuals and art and all that stuff, but like the music. And so I guess the state I'm in now is really highly creative. Like I've never produced the songs myself, so that's adding a whole new dimension to my songwriting, to my performing, to collaborating. You know, I'm producing for other artists now, so it's very it's much more creative. It's much more eclectic. I call the sound progressive soul because I think it's rooted in soul tendencies, but it's a little, like I said, I'm making it myself, so it's not really. And I'm sure I'm influenced by people I listen to, but I'm definitely not trying to copy anyone with this. So. Yeah, I got a band working on the EP right now. There's so many different facets of my career. You know, I'm also producing and co-writing for my girlfriend's project. So we're trying to put together our own mini tour, self-funded, in the state we're in, and kind of just cater to fans that we have, but also maybe play with some friends and artists that we've, you know, met along the way who are also touring and at the similar stage. And eventually, you know, we want to be playing festivals, which I've never played a festival in my life. So that's, you know, next year is my goal to play as many festivals as I can and just expose my music. And I have this project with my girlfriend as well, Cosmos and Creature, which is a little more EDM, mainstream type of stuff. So, you know, as many shows as possible in whatever facet, whether it's a Brandyn Burnette show, whether I'm supporting Molly Moore's stuff because we have a couple features, whether we're doing Cosmos Creature gigs. We've never toured, so that's my next step. You know, I've done a lot online. I've put out 2 bodies of work I feel good about, and I'm excited to get on the road and meet the people listening to it, and, you know, meet the Spotify listeners, and try and convert that into a little more of a movement, you know. Oh, that's like the best question ever. And I feel like I try and give a different answer because it changes a lot. My dream since I was a kid, 15, was to play with Coldplay. I'd love to do a show with Coldplay, like even just to open or play him a song of mine. Chris Martin would be incredible. Some of my current favorite artists, I love Banks. I think Banks is incredible, and she's kind of like indie, underground, but still massive. And I love her sound. I love her unique stuff. And John Bellion is another collaborator. I've actually worked with him before, but we worked early on, you know, when I was on a label, and now that I'm producing, and we both kind of evolved, I think it would be amazing to get back together and just see what we can do. I am a frequenter at Six Flags. Six Flags Magic Mountain. I just went with my mom, my brothers, and we rode water parks and all that stuff. And other than that, you know, I mean, I'm very, my lifestyle is alternative. I've never really had like a consistent job, and I know a lot of people like what? But I guess when you work for yourself and you create your own company, your job is like 24/7. So like, there are days where I wake up and I'm like, you know, like, should I get a job? Like, what am I doing? And other days I'm like, I have 40 emails to answer, and there's so many things that are in the palm of our hands now that you can do so much if you just focus. So a lot of my time right now is spent focusing, and I'm trying to get together a tour. But in the meantime, you know, when I'm not doing anything, I'm in the steam room, I'm meditating, doing anything I can to not lose my mind, you know. You know, I like to see family. Family is a huge thing for me. I got my mom tattooed on my arm, and yeah, right here. She's right above the underneath hands. We actually just got tattoos together. She just came into town and we had an impromptu midnight tattoo session. So I get a lot of my spontaneity from my mom, Barbie. So I love you, Mama. To cater to like radio and you know, marketability, like I feel like as soon as you take something like organic in an artist and a person or creator, somebody who has an idea, like the first thing you should do is nurture it. First thing you should do is encourage and allow them to grow. Obviously, no. Molly Moore is like, she's a big influence on my music. She's the reason why I'm independent, why we started our own label, and she's like a mogul. And beyond her music, she has a message behind it. And so she's probably like my female act to watch right now. I know people are starting to catch on to Jon Bellion, but if you don't know Jon Bellion yet, like he's probably like the biggest creator of all time. Like it reminds me of like a Kanye of our generation, innovative. Cruels, I have a feature coming out with this DJ named Cruels. He's from LA, he's incredible. He's got like a dark EDM thing. It's something that I really haven't heard in the EDM world. John Locke, I have a collaboration with him on my EP. He's done a couple remixes for us. He actually plays as our DJ for Cosmos a Creature. He's putting out some cool bounce house type stuff too. And yeah, that's a good list. Probably gonna go to Six Flags straight after this. Touring for sure, we talked about that, and I'm working on an album, which is crazy. I know I just put out a record, but the inspiration never stops. Molly Moore's EP comes out. We have a feature coming out together that I'm on, that I produced, which is cool. It's like my first project that I've produced everything on, so I'm excited about that. And yeah, I mean, we're just, we're out here. I'm about to move out of my place, so I'm searching for a new apartment, doing the whole living in LA thing, and I'm gonna try and get to the beach this summer because I've been indoors for a long time. So I'm gonna try and get some relaxation time as well. Stay level-headed, work on the tan, work on the natural tan,